After the gang went absolute beast mode through Cades Cove, they tapped into their more gentle side, looking for flowers.
People ask me animal questions all the time, and usually I either know the answer or have an educated guess or something like that. People ask me like questions about plants, and I'm like, I don't know. It's like, we're asking me.
It's pretty.
It's nice.
It looks pretty wild. Eat it.
It's not a dandelion, shoot it.
Yeah. And then you disappeared. I remember we were going on the trail.
That's usual.
And then
Yeah,
we
exactly.
turned around, and it was just like, where's Anthony? Next time I saw you, you would just come back and be like, I got a beetle.
Yeah.
What?
I was following him as he was like, crawling off the trail, and like he went like under leaves and then came back out. It was just kind of a neat like little shot.
We went there for the flowers, and then we sat down at the picnic benches to eat lunch. And while we're sitting there, I'm noticing that someone had cut up a tree and just dumped logs. My nature radar went up, and I was like, wait a sec, there's logs, and we need salamanders, and salamanders hang out under logs.
Right.
I'm like, there could be some. Let's go look. And I was floored because almost under like all the first 3 or 4 that I flipped up, there were salamanders everywhere.
Yeah.
And they didn't need sound, so I got a nap.
The next morning, the film crew stumbled upon a beautiful sight.
You could see the wisps coming through the trees
Yes.
and then going back up into the clouds to create that.
Yeah.
It looked like there were like people having fires out there.
It looked like a dozen campfires burning out in the woods. It was just mist.
Can y'all remember how what rolled in? A river of smoke.
That's where we shot the show open.
Yeah.
We shot there with that as the backdrop.
Yeah.
Hey everybody, welcome to the Smokies. That's what many people fondly call where we are today, the Great Smoky Mountains.
And into the ominous mists the fellowship traveled.
What a sweet, sweet hike.
Oh, yeah.
I remember pulling into Roaring Fork, and everybody was just like, this atmosphere is insane.
Yeah, and it was raining, so there's hardly anybody there, which
Yeah.
was just amazing.
The entire walk up, we had that mist coming through everything.
Yeah. We all got like dirty and muddy and just loved every second of it.
Now that is one high-tech rain cover. Don't break the budget, guys.
Pretty trashy shot.
Literally.
Oh.
Simeon, you looked over and you were like, dang, those snails are huge.
Yeah, big ones too. Delicious. Little snail. Doing snail things.
There's one right by your foot, Timmy.
Oh my goodness, yes.
Where? Oh.
By then, you guys had like your elk shot, then your bear shot, and then your horse shot.
It was
and
a
I was
big
like,
snail.
oh, hey, look at those snails.
You know what this makes me want to do, Anthony? Never happened. I was like, oh, Peter, as you come down the trail, I'll be in front of you, and then I'm gonna like duck behind this tree. As I disappear behind the tree with the camera, you'll just fade into the mist and just disappear. And as I walked behind the tree, my feet just flipped up in the air, and I just face planted right down into the mud. Boom.
In your credit, you did save the
camera.
Yeah.
Kevin disappeared in that shot.
Yeah. I disappeared into the mud. It's not nearly as cinematic as disappearing into the mist.
No.
Now don't get the idea these guys are only out there fooling around. No, sir. They're marketing too.
We were just talking to some of y'all's crew, and to hear what y'all are doing is just fantastic.
Oh, thank you so much. We appreciate it. Watch your step.
He told us where we can go look for some
Yes, absolutely. Check us out.
I'm going to look on TV and find you guys.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Answers.tv.
Okay, have a good day.
Thank you. You too. This was definitely one of those times where it's like you turn around and Kevin is down there somewhere in the middle of the river filming this waterfall.
Long exposure somewhere.
Yeah. And he's down there. But if you look up at the top of the waterfall, I see this blue jacket. It was Nate all the way up there. It's like, how do you get up there already? You know? Binge, what was it like trying to record audio in his line there, this roaring waterfall?
And I literally was yelling.
Yeah.
Like I remember that I don't normally deliver that loud. I don't need to, but like I actually was like yelling in order to be heard over the rush.
When you're this close and it roars as loud as thunder.
And I got my rock shot, which I was very happy with. That was if there was one
that's
shot.
the one I had to get up where I was a little iffy, like, am I going to fall off this rock?
I think that was the one time I was like, Peter, you are getting on that rock.
I'm like, okay, fine. Yeah, I actually needed that's right. I needed help getting up there.
That's when I was helping you
because
up.
I was like, I don't know. I would not climb this rock otherwise.
But it is a really good shot. And like, I was like, look, if there's one thing I'm going to make Peter do,
climb on this rock.
It is get on this rock.
The hike in is just all rain, mist, drizzle, and it all clears. Yeah. And on our hike back, the sky just opened up and the sun just burst out. And then you have all the water droplets on the leaves just kind of dripping down, the beautiful golden sun. It was fantastic.
Yeah. Next up, Ober-Gatlinburg Wildlife Encounter.
This is the nature center that was in Gatlinburg. And so we wanted to see otters. Once we entered, they said, well, one of them's is kind of nippy. Like, it might try to bite you. I'm like, will it now? It was a little hard to deliver lines when I was worried about an animal coming up and biting my leg.
It was so scary because she's like, oh, like, I was like, how bad of a bite is it? And she was like, oh, it's like a dog bite. And I was like, what kind of dog?
And they're like wearing rubber boots and high boots and stuff.
I know.
Because they don't want to get bit, and we're like, we're not hiking boots on. You're like,
I didn't even have hiking boots. I knew we were going to be on concrete, so I just had just sneakers. I was like, I'm going to take my toe off. They're really just really beautiful animals, so that was just something really special.
And then they had these really beautiful large black bears, and he would sit up and he would wave because he wanted food from the zookeepers, and he just wave, and then they'd throw food in.
I wonder if I can get out this way. Oh my goodness, another bear! Run away, run away!
And skunk, too.
And skunk. And that's right, and skunk. We got a lot. Plus, there was actually native fish. I was going to say native fish in a tank. I mean, we got a lot of animal footage that we weren't going to get in the wild.
Oh, look. The pig is playing with its tail.
And then we also were there to film Bobcat as well. So the Bobcats were the most memorable in a lot of ways for that trip. They had 2 Bobcats, very large, by the way. I mean, they were big Bobcats.
Oh, man.
I was not expecting them to let us go inside when I first contacted them, but they said, oh, no, you can. And so I was like, all right, let's send in the camera guys first because...
We were like the sacrifice.
Yeah, exactly. Because what I told Anthony and Kevin was, this will help them acclimate to our team before I go in and start speaking out loud. But really what was going through my head is, if they don't make it, I'm still safe. And so...
The longer we're in there, the more used to us they got, and the next thing you know, they're just coming up to you, and then you just have like a bobcat just rubbing up against your leg and walking around you, and you're like, oh my word.
I know we could only have so many
crazy.
people in there at a time, so we had a gimbal with a camera on it inside there sitting in the corner, and I was right outside the glass and using the joystick on my phone to remotely control the gimbal.
But it was very apparent by that point when they were rubbing up against you and approaching the cameras that they were completely at ease. And so I go in and I wanted to make friends. And so I'm like squatting down and they came right up to me because they had been doing that with you guys.
Yep.
And they just started rubbing their body like all over my leg and my backpack and all over the place. I'm like, what are you doing? They just became obsessed with my backpack. And so they just kept rubbing and then they were drooling because they were like leaving their scent. I'm like, and then I was getting annoyed because I was like, stop leaving your cat hair and your drool on my backpack. And then all of a sudden, I look down, and this dumb bobcat has turned around and is peeing directly onto my backpack to mark his territory. And I start yelling at him, like, stop! Because I wanted to be like a dog or a cat, like sort of swat it, but I'm like, I'm not about to swat a bobcat.
Yeah.
So I had to stand there and wait for it to be done.
He had been coming up to me, and I was able to kind of rub my fingers, as he like passed by, just kind of graze along his back and everything. And and I'm squatting down low, and I feel him go back there. And I felt a little touchy touch, and I remember like looking back, and I got up, and the keeper, she says, "Oh, you're part of the pack," and I got so excited about it. I had like the opposite reaction because you stormed out of the pit. You're like, I about had enough of this, and went out, and
Anthony's like, "This is my home now."
Yeah, this was great. I remember like telling my wife I was so excited. I think I texted her right away. I was like, I got peed on by a bobcat,
and I'm like, I have to wear this backpack the rest of the show with bobcat urine on it.
It was the last day.
It was the last day.
But think about that. Who can say they've been peed on by a bobcat?
I know, not many.
You
Not
can.
me. Not many.
You can.
Yeah. Booyah.
It was great.
I know a guy.
We wanted a nice golden hour Bible moment in that stream. And so we kind of got done at the Obergallenberg and then rushed back into Roaring Fork to find a spot that we could get the sun kind of setting behind and do that Bible moment. And so we got that.
Yeah.
As usually is the case on these shoots, we filmed right up to the very end.
Right to the end.
And that he is the living water that satisfies the thirst of your soul.
Oh, it ain't over yet, folks. Listen, there's a lot more that goes into filming for 3 hike and seek episodes than one trip can handle.
Here we go. It looks a little different around the table right now. Some new faces. Of course, you know me. You know the Irishman. You know Peter Schremer. But you don't know these hooligans over here. It's Mike Benton and David Robb. What's up, guys?
Oh, not a lot. Yeah, looking forward to having a little chat.
No strangers to filming for Answers in Genesis, Mike Benton and David Robb have their fingerprints on many AIG video projects, including much of Season 2 of Hike and Seek. These seasoned freelancers joined Peter, the Cannoli, and the Irishman on the return trip to the Smokies that summer. Yeah, can you imagine all these guys together? Brace yourselves, folks. Brace yourselves. One of the major reasons to return to the Smokies was to capture footage of the annual Synchronous Fireflies event.
We went there, we found it, and I was very excited that we did actually find the spot.
Here in the Great Smoky Mountains, there are at least 19 species of fireflies that you might see. I think that was the one I wanted. Cool.
Then nothing happened, and we're all sitting there filming as it's getting darker and darker, and I'm like, what are we gonna do if we don't see any fireflies?
I don't see any now. They were popping.
That's a cool way to do it. If I stand up.
They were popping. And did you see one or no?
So we actually packed it up, and we're like, well, let's just see if we see anything on the way back. And we're just walking back, and all of a sudden we realize this is where they are. And then it was amazing.
Yeah, no, those are showing up. That's pretty bright.
I mean, we just sat there for a long time filming, and I've never seen anything like that in my life. On the way back down, we're using our red lights. Oh, man. And you know what I'm going to say. Yeah. Oh. Huge spiders, big. Like the span of the legs was really big. And and we found several of them.
And then we just looked down the trail, and Anthony was a mile ahead of us, just running dead.
Yeah, dude. I don't play those reindeer games. About had enough of that. Oh.
After about having enough of giant wolf spiders in the dark, the crew cooled off with a pleasant hike to Abrams Falls off of Cades Cove. I'm being sarcastic.
The heat index, if not that day, it was one of those days, it was like 105 or something?
Yeah, it was. I think it was 105 both days, actually.
Yeah, no, it was brutal. It was brutal. Everything on me was completely soaked in sweat. My hands were swelling because of the heat and humidity.
Yeah.
Hey guys, my water's half gone, so I'll just be back with the truck.
We got to enjoy following Peter Schremer with a fan.
Yeah.
Blowing in his face the whole time.
You gotta do what you gotta do.
Yeah, I guess that's what you gotta do.
I think that was the hike that I learned how important water was.
What say you, David Robb?
I blame Peter Streamer.
Yeah, dude. You got us out there chasing waterfalls, man.
Right.
We're just get to the top of Abrams Falls and we're just dying of heat, and it was pretty crazy.
No, it was fun though. I enjoyed it.
Yeah.
That's what makes the adventure. It's a cool waterfall, and a lot of times you get to them and there's not much actual water flow, but it's a really beautiful hike and beautiful waterfall, so I recommend it. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Walking up with the gimbal in slow motion, man, hit that puddle and just slid right down, right past Peter.
Crying out loud.
Don't worry, he's fine. It's kind of his thing, remember?
Let's go find this waterfall and see if we can spot a rainbow.
So these tough guys decided that the next day they should top their misery by doing a longer, harder hike in the same heat.
Yep.
This time, however, the trail to Rainbow Falls went straight up.
That was the hardest one, I think. It was easy going down, but straight up. I think and hot.
It is rock, dirt, roots.
You get the pain out of the way. You know, you're just getting up to the top, and once you get close, you're like, okay, the way back is going to be super easy. I'm pretty much just kind of like let my body just roll down, so it's kind of nice, but yeah.
And especially the mental game, having to follow this guy around with a fan in his face.
No doubt.
You're always filming me.
We all got to experience David Robb and his singing voice. Serenading us in the Smoky Mountains.
He's got a unique ability. If you say a word or say a phrase or something like that, he can think of a song that attaches to that, and then it's just, you know, next 15 minutes is that song over and over. It's a gift.
We all want more of it, David Robb. We all want more.
So we make it all the way to the top of Rainbow Falls, the Rainbow Trickle. I think it's...
Yeah, I didn't want to put it down, but that's what I was thinking. Yeah, that's what it was. Yeah. When you walk up there, it's really cool to see, but the falls, at least on the day we were there, isn't anything amazing, but just the sort of the landscape of it all is really neat.
Yeah.
And then there were the salamanders. I just looked down at my feet. It was looking at me, and I was like, this pool is full of salamanders. So we get the macro lens out, and we were all just running around getting all the shots. That was fun.
After 2 days of 10-mile hikes over rock and root in the smothering heat, it was time for the boys to take a seat on the Great Smoky Mountain Railroad train ride.
That was one of my favorite days because we had just had 2 really, really intense days of hiking and humidity, and so to be sitting down was relaxing.
There's that fan again.
And we had this minstrel, basically, who was going around.
Bluegrass minstrel.
A bluegrass minstrel with his guitar. And he was really good. Like, he was playing his guitar and singing songs, and I'm just like, this is awesome.
Must be nice being serenaded by a Smoky Mountain minstrel. What a bunch of slackers. At least Mike and David were hard at work as they took to the skies with the drone.
Yeah, it was just tricky, you know, making sure we were at the right spot at the right time and figuring all that out. So I think we were in communication with you all a little bit by cell phone just to make sure that we were there. And then we just kind of set up a home base and got out a drone.
See the Ark Encounter hat?
No.
There's the guy wearing an Ark Encounter hat.
Oh, really?
I've been waiting. Is that the last audio line or what?
Yes.
Man.
Dude, see the fire? Oh, look. Oh.
I'll let one of you guys come over and get it. Just be real careful. You come up the steps.
And so I climbed up and put the wide angle lens on, and I was filming, and then he opened up the furnace.
about 1,500 degrees in there.
It was absolutely insane. And that whistle was deafening.
Yeah.
Oh, yes.
Yes.
Yep.
And we're making Peter like, you got an epic slow-mo shot of it. So he just is like,
I'm just standing there, gazing at the engine, pretending it's all fine.
physically hurt.
Yes, physically hurting me.
It's the loudest sound I've ever heard in my life.
It was so loud.